Extracranial course. Immediately after exiting the stylomastoid foramen, the facial nerve gives a posterior auricular branch which innervates the superior and posterior auricular muscles, occipitalis muscles, providing sensation to an area behind the earlobe.
So this is sensory behind the earlobe and superior and posterior auricular muscles and occipitalis muscles also. There is posterior auricular nerve, which is called PAM, posterior auricular nerve. That is immediately after coming from the stylomastoid foramen. The first branch after the stylomastoid foramen is posterior auricular nerve. It can be an entrance examination question. Next.
Two separate small branches supply the stylohyoid muscle and the posterior belly of the digaster.
Separate branches to stylohyoid. Also we have seen that, and the posterior belly of digaster. All these are second arch muscles. Okay.
Facial nerve passes from the stylomastoid foramen to the posterior border of the parotid. It passes anterior to the posterior belly of digastric, lateral to the styloid process, and external carotid artery, and posterior to the facial vein.
So what you should remember here is, so lateral to the styloid process. So styloid process is always medial, okay, and even external carotid artery is also medial to the facial nerve. So styloid process and external carotid artery are medial to the facial nerve, and it passes anterior to the posterior belly of the digastric. That's why posterior belly of digastric you can follow, and then if you go at the attachment of the posterior belly of the digastric, you can go to the level of facial nerve. It is acting as a landmark, and it is posterior to the facial vein. So that is behind the facial vein.
Surgical landmarks to the facial nerve, tragal pointer and posterior belly of digastric. In children, the facial nerve will be found more superficially because of incomplete development of the parotid gland and pneumatization of the mastoid.
So mastoid buries the facial nerve. That is the concept in the children. You have to give it more backward. The incision should be more backwards.
As the nerve passes anteriorly from the stylomastoid foramen, it becomes more superficial and therefore more susceptible to injury. On entering the parotid gland, the nerve lies in a plane between the superficial and deep lobes of the gland. It divides early into two major trunks at the pes anserinalis, superiorly giving a zygomatico-temporal branch and inferiorly a cervicofacial branch. Within the parotid substance, five major divisions of the facial nerve exist: temporal or frontal, zygomatic, buccal, marginal mandibular, and cervical. In practice, the zygomatic and buccal branches are difficult to distinguish from one another.
So the branching pattern is given by different types. Almost 5 types of branchings are there, of which third type is the very important according to one of the standard. Third type of branching is very important. In the Cast and Catalani classification, some name is given for that. So that is also important. The third type of branching is very important. In practice, zygomatic and buccal branches are difficult to distinguish from one another.
By the time the division exit the anterior margin of the parotid, there are between 8 and 15 branches, which subsequently arborize and interconnect, creating some redundancy that is useful in reconstructive surgery. Frequent anastomosis exists between the buccal and zygomatic branches, allowing for some preservation of the function if one or two branches are injured.
So buccal and zygomatic, so more weird. Okay. Next.
Temporal and marginal mandibular are, however, without significant connections and are highest risk during surgical procedures.
So temporal is uppermost and marginal mandibular is just below the above one, the lowest one. Marginal mandibular and more at risk during surgical procedures.
D. Except the facial nerve innervates all of the muscles of the facial expression on their deep surface, with the exception of buccinator, levator anguli oris, mentalis, which are innervated on their superficial surface.
All the muscles are given innervation in the depth of the muscle, but except for buccinator, levator, anguli oris, and mentalis. These three are the things only innervated superficial from the above. So from lateral they get supply. Rest all get supply from the medial side.
Temporal branch. The 3 or 4 branches of the temporal or the frontal division lie along the pitangulus line, extending from a point 5 mm below the tragus to another 1.5 centimeters above the lateral aspect of the ipsilateral eyebrow.
So we imagine a lot about this particular facial nerve which will be there, but according to this statement, this pitangulus line they is telling extending from a 5 millimeters below the tragus, just below the tragus to 1.5 centimeters above the ipsilateral eyebrow. It means that from here to here, this much part is occupied by this temporal branch. 3 or 4 divisions of the temporal branch are frontal division. So see, imagine almost half of the face is occupied by this temporal branch. So it is occupying a vast region. Okay. Like Indian subcontinent, India is the largest country. This particular thing, temporal branch is the largest country, the largest thing. That is defined by Pitangis line, 5 millimeters below the tragus to another 1.5 centimeters above the lateral aspect of the hip, till the level of eyebrow. So this much big area occupied by this temporal or frontal division.
Exited from the anterior superior border of the parotid, the nerve crosses the zygomatic arch very superficially within the temporoparietal fascia. The frontal branch then enters the undersurface of the frontalis muscle, which it innervates, and also upper orbicularis oculi and corrugator supercilii muscle.
So yesterday we have seen this orbicularis oculi, corrugator supercilii, and the frontal branch enters under the frontalis muscle. Even the frontalis muscle also. Even the frontalis muscle also innervated by that. So very superficially within the temporoparietal fascia. Within the temporoparietal fascia, as you could see, temporoparietal fascia is the third layer. As you could see, skin, subcutaneous tissue, okay, temporoparietal fascia, and loose areolar tissue. That is the third layer. Below that only it lies, and this enters below the muscles only. So except for buccinator, so and all those that mentalis and the levator anguli oris, everything is entered below the muscle. That is medial to the muscle. So you could remember like that. So when you spare the, go back once, when you spare this temporoparietal fascia, the chances of damaging the facial nerve are less. This temporoparietal fascia is acting like a bahubali and protecting the mahishmati, okay, and protecting the facial nerve.
Zygomatic and buccal branches present in the lower face. 5 to 8 branches of the facial nerve are relatively well protected. They run deep to the platysma and superficial musculo-aponeurotic system, which invests the muscles of facial expression. The SMAS therefore aids the surgeon in identifying the plane of the facial nerve during dissection.
Same thing once again. Temporoparietal fascia that continues as superficial musculo-aponeurotic system deep to the platysma. So platysma is once again saving it, and superficial musculo-aponeurotic system once again it is saving it. Actually, the superficial musculo-aponeurotic system is a layer above the facial muscles. Layer above the facial muscles. It continues upwards like a that particular innominate fascia or your temporoparietal fascia. So in the above part of the skull. So this is all protecting the facial nerve at that point, especially the zygomatic and buccal. 5 to 8 branches we have seen now. So these are relatively a bit resistant because they are protected by this mass. So aids in identifying the facial nerve.
Zygomatic division supplies the zygomaticus major and minor, levator labii superioris alica nasi, depressor cepi, and compressor and dilator nares muscles.
So you want to smile, use this zygomatic division, zygomaticus major and minor. So levator labii superioris alica nasi, depressor septi, and compressor and dilator nares muscles. So very easy to remember. Zygomaticus, zygomaticus, zygomaticus. 3 are already done. So superior. When you say temporal branches, that is we have seen the Pitangis line. So above all the muscles are supplied by the temporal one. So below the Pitangis line, whatever is there, so that is nose, that is depressor septi, all the nose muscles. Okay, and something related to levator labii superioris alica nasi. The longest named muscle in the body is supplied by this zygomatic division of the facial nerve. That is the bit you can get it in your exam. Longest, this is the longest named muscle. No other name has this much long name, but the muscle is very short. Okay, so that is supplied by zygomatic division.
Buccal branch supplies the buccinator and the superior part of the orbicularis oris muscle.
Superior part of the orbicularis oris muscle. We have seen that buccinator along with risorius, it goes to the angle of the this particular mouth. It goes with this one. Whereas platysma is supplied by cervical branch. This buccinator and this particular risorius along with this orbicularis oris is supplied by the buccal branch. So buccinator, buccal, bucca. As simple as oral cavity. Next.
Marginal branch. The marginal mandibular division of the facial nerve consists of 1 to 3 branches that initially pass below the angle of mandible and then arch upwards to cross the body anterior to the facial artery.
Very important marginal mandibular nerve during parotid surgery or submandibular gland surgery, you should preserve it below the angle of the mandible. As simple as that to remember, below the angle of mandible means at the level of the zygomatic nodes only. Okay, there are 3 branches nearly, arches upwards to cross the body anterior to the facial nerve. So it is anterior to the facial nerve, facial artery, anterior to the facial artery. So the branch of facial nerve, that is why it is anterior to the facial artery. You just remember like that. Facial artery, we know that angle of mandible, it goes upwards and forms a tortuous course. In front of this will be the marginal mandible. Palpate the facial artery first. You can palpate it for yourself. And blind, you can say in front of it will be the marginal mandible. Many times a discussion is done on marginal mandible. Everybody will be asking questions on marginal mandible. How do you locate? How do you locate? How do you locate? So it is in front of the facial artery. In front of the facial artery, anterior to the facial artery. You remember at the angle of mandible. 2 A's you remember. Angle of the mandible, anterior to the facial artery.
Marginal branch, the nerve courses deep to the platysma, becoming more superficial as it travels medially. It supplies the rhizolius, the depressor labia inferioris, mentalis, and lower parts of the orbitary thorax.
So whatever are left out, so rhizolius, okay. So we have seen that one of the branch of Bakhtinagar also supplies the rhizolius in anatomy textbook, but he is giving like rhizolius, depressor labia inferioris, okay, mentalis, and orbicularis oris lower part. So lower part is left out with this one. Platysma is left out with cervical branch, and the rest all are left out with this one, like rhizolius, depressor labia inferioris. This is a very important muscle during the paralyzed face reconstruction. Very important muscle. So that is supplied by marginal mandibular nerve, and even the mentalis. Mentalis, that is at the chin level. Okay. So all the mentalis is supplied superficial. Is it or not? We have seen it already. So rhizolius, depressor labia inferioris, and mentalis. And a part of lower part of orbicularis oris muscle. It becomes superficial as it travels medially. As you go on towards the nose or towards the medial part of the face, it is becoming superficial. It courses deep to the platysma. So subplatysmal plane, when you are elevating, you should see for this marginal mandibular nerve. Subplatysmal plane. Whenever you go below the platysma, go for this marginal mandibular nerve. Next.
Cervical branch. The cervical division innervates the platysma from its deep surface near the junction of upper and middle third of the muscle.
Upper and middle third of the muscle. We have seen a lot about the platysma. Okay. Upper and middle third of the muscle. Okay.
The pathophysiology of facial palsy.
Here in this particular video, we have covered the introduction of facial palsy, the scientists related to it, and the history of facial palsy, and who has described about the facial palsy. We have seen the basic anatomy. Of course, this is not a comprehensive lecture on the anatomy as far as ENT surgeon is concerned, but basic anatomical aspects, important clinical aspects, and especially the branching pattern of the facial nerve is covered. So the next lecture follows about the pathophysiology and all the different plastic surgery procedures related to facial nerve. Thank you very much.